They're full of fucking shit. They're full of fucking shit. Here's the deal, okay? I don't know how you got me so fired up so early. You can shit, product-led growth, okay? You can sell things. But again, let's use another metaphor. Really good selling training is to baseball. A really good talented baseball player may be able to hit 250, 275, 280, right? You get a really damn good person who starts taking in the science of the game and puts in the extra effort. They're going to break that shit to 320, 325. Right now, nobody's running a product-led growth strategy with 30 and 40% conversions. They're full of fucking shit. It's just not happening. Nor are they maximizing the average deal size. No, it's just more fucking bullshit of trying to get around the truth. They don't know how to sell, so they're just going to go this route.
Hey, Keenan, welcome to the show. Excited to have you, man. Thanks for making the time. So let's get right into it. I want to take you back to where you kicked off. Like, how did you get into sales?
I don't know, man. The real answer is a friend of mine just thought I'd be really good at it. I was in South Beach, Miami, modeling. I was a model when I was younger, in my early to mid 20s. And modeling is very much, I liken it to baseball. So you have small markets. So if you want A baseball, and then they have medium markets, AA, and then you have bigger markets, AAA, and then you have New York and Milan, and that's the majors, right? And so most people work their way up, and you get more and more pictures and more known. And one of the ways to do that was go to South Beach. So I was in South Beach trying to build my book, is what it's called, and get on with bigger agencies and get more exposure. And he called me up and he said, "Hey, dog, I got a job for you. You need to come home." So I sat and did the math, and I was like, even if I crush this as a dude, maybe I make $500,000 a year for 3, 4, 5, 6 years. Maybe if that's, I'm in the top 1% of 1% of all male models. And I was like, or I knew I wasn't dumb. I was like, go back, get a real job, get into a high-powered position next 3 or 4 years and make that the rest of my life. So I was like, fuck it, I'll go home. So I went home and took the job as a salesman.
There you have it. Man, as it looks faded, then how did the whole gap selling come about?
Shit, that was a long journey. I mean, look, gap selling came because I had started a consulting practice in 2011, and everybody kept asking me, do I do training? And I said, no, I don't do training because I don't have a training, and I'm not going to just copy what every asshat has already done. And so I didn't have a training. I just did consulting. And then I started thinking I wrote a small book called Not Taught. That was more of a fun, like, success book. And I had fun writing that. And I was like, maybe it's time I write a sales book. So I sat down and started writing the sales book. And I just went through, the blog helped big time. I'd been blogging for 10 years, so pretty close to 10 years. So I started going through all my shit in blogs, started going through all my notes with all my clients, and started to see that I'd actually had a framework that I was using that wasn't aware that I was using. So, well, let me phrase it, I wasn't aware of it. So then I started putting all the pieces together, and voila, out came gap selling.
I think that's a salient point, right? I think a lot of people, when they run their business, they have some sort of framework, but they don't actually realize they have a framework. It's not documented. It's not something that they've articulated down. It's just something they're doing because they've done it.
And it morphs. Don't get me wrong, because I remember specifically where a couple of the real key tenets came from. And with the key tenet of the gap itself, I remember I was with a client and I was working with this one guy, and he was a nice guy. His name was Rob. He was a nice guy. He was their number one seller. He meant well, but he fucking drove me crazy because it would be in pipeline reviews, and all his answers were always the fucking same. And he couldn't give me any data or information. He just kept, oh, it's going to close. They told me it's going to close. They love it. I showed it and it drove me crazy. So finally I said, look, Robert, I don't give a fuck what the customer said. Why do they need it? They need it because they have disparate systems. Like, I don't give a fuck that they have disparate systems. Why does the fact they have disparate systems matter? And he just sat there and stared at me. And I was like, so you don't have a clue, do you? And he goes, what, if they can't do this and this with this, do they need to do that? And he goes, I don't know. I said, what I need you to do is I need you to go back and I want you to find out where the fuck are they right now? What are they trying to do? What can't they do? What's happening? And when you're done with that, I want you to tell me, what are they trying to do? Where do they want to go? If they can fix this or whatever the problem is, where they want to go. When you're done, there should be a gap in there somewhere. If that gap is big enough for them to spend the money, then I'll talk to you about this account. But until then, I'm not spending another minute on this or the rest of your accounts. So they all look exactly the same. And then I sat down, I took a deep breath, and I looked up on the wall because I drew it up on the wall. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. And I took a picture. So then when I came back to write the book, that was front and center.
Nice. You make it sound so appealing and make it sound so almost damn obvious. But the amount of playbooks that I've come across, they just copy paste, they're cloned, they're fucked. So how do you stand out?
If you're doing the same thing everybody else has done, you're not going to stick out. What everybody's trying to do is they're trying to stick out based on their product. I don't care how much fucking time and talk sales organizations are going to give to this idea of better selling. They're not. because dust it off and you peel it back. They're trying to create their differentiation through the product. And there's nothing wrong with having a badass product. The better your product, the better you can sell it. But the product is only the solution at the end of the discovery, at the end of the problem solving, at the end of the uncovering, if you will, or the diagnosis. And so most people are still using a product-centric model to differentiate. They aren't taking the time, or they're not trying to do the due diligence to really go deeper on what sales is really about and what the exercises and elements to really good selling looks like, because it's hard and because you can't systematize, you can't put it in a document, you can't wash, rinse, repeat, you can't give everybody a list with fucking 50 questions to ask. No, it requires some improvisation. I don't know, with all due respect, I don't know how much you guys know about jazz being all the way over the other side of the country, the world, but if you're familiar with improvisational jazz, right? Improvisational jazz like Jelly Roll Morton or John Coltrane and stuff like that, they improvise, but there is still a structure that they follow through the improvisation and when they begin the improvisation. I believe sales is very similar. You have a frame, but it's mostly improvisation, and organizations don't know how to do it, are scared to do it, haven't recognized it needs to be done, or just flat out reject it.
I hear you, but then on the flip side, you've got a lot of founders who are saying product sells itself. And that's where that whole PLG came in.
They're full of fucking shit. They're full of fucking shit. Here's the deal, okay? I don't know how you got me so fired up so early. You can shit, product-led growth, okay? You can sell things. But again, let's use another metaphor. Really good selling training is to baseball. A really good talented baseball player may be able to hit 250, 275, 280, right? You get a really damn good person who starts taking in the science of the game and puts in the extra effort. They're going to break that shit to 320, 325. Right now, nobody's running a product-led growth strategy with 30 or 40% conversions. They're full of fucking shit. It's just not happening. Nor are they maximizing the average deal size. No, it's just more fucking bullshit of trying to get around the truth. They don't know how to sell the sales methodology, so they're just going to go this route.
I think that's actually a pretty good point. If you think about, we're spending a lot of time in the early stage space at the moment, right? So people who build a product, they've seen a gap, they build something to achieve it, and that's how they sell, right? They sell with product. They go, I have product, it fits this, you should buy it. And there is no science behind it yet. They haven't got to that stage where they're actually figuring out that, hey, I need to do more than just put my product in front of people and go, hey, here it is. And part of the reason we started doing this is the more and more people we talk to in this space, the more I'm beginning to realize that there's a lot they just don't know. They're not always doing it because they think that product-led growth is the ultimate way to do it. They're doing it because it's what they've seen on TikTok and Facebook and LinkedIn and things like that. So I can do that. My product is really cool. I think it's sexy. You should think it's sexy, Keenan. So I'm going to show it to you and you should buy it. And that's effectively their sales methodology, that especially when they're young and they're just kicking their tires into gear. But I also think, if I look back at the journeys we've been on, if you can get that methodology right early, if you can bring some of these smarts in that you're talking about, then the people you're bringing on obtain that early and you don't have to retrain bad habits out of people 10 years later, 5 years later.
Yep. Think about what go, Ricky.
No, I was going to say, man, I think part of the problem also is a lot of the tech founders see sales as a necessary evil. They don't want them.
Okay, they don't want them because they don't know how to run them. To be perfectly frank, sometimes I feel that tech is a necessary evil. Okay, I work with tech people. I've got a tech company. If I got another tech person tells me how long it's going to take to build something and why they can't get it done and what it's going to blah, blah, it's just do it, right? Like, why does it have to be so hard, right? Same thing for sales, right? So what Sean just said was interesting, right? Sean said, I got this great product. It's freaking awesome. Everybody needs it. Okay, but why? See, that's what founders miss. Why? Now, from a marketing perspective, I'm okay with it. Everybody needs it. That's your job. Marketing is one too many. So market away to one too many. But when you get into sales now, that's one to one. And my reason for buying something is different than yours, Ricky, and different than yours. And watch this. Let's say you get one behind me. If I had a hat on too right now, right? We all bought a hat. But I can tell you that we all bought that hat for a different fucking reason. And this is what sales organizations just don't get through their head. The best salespeople understand that every single person who bought their product bought it for a different reason. And it's your job to figure out what that reason is. And it's your job to figure out why, if they didn't buy that product, that was a worse decision than had they not bought it. That's your job. If you can't do that, you're not selling.
Yeah,
I love that.
I couldn't agree more. We touched on earlier about the founders and they don't know how to hire or run the sales organization. So what's your advice to the founders who are kicking off the journey, who should they hire first? Sales reps or sales leader?
Oh, sales
That's a
rep.
question that we get.
Sales rep, hands down, hands down, hands down. Look,
Why?
because a sales leader is a waste of time, right? You need, how do I put this? Okay, it's a dumb metaphor. It's the only way I put it. If you've got just enough money to pay the basketball players or pay the coach, what do? Pay the basketball players. You got to get a team on the court, okay?
What?
If you can only have 4 players and a coach, you take 5 players and no coach and hope someone bubbles up. It does you no good whatsoever to have a coach. I don't care how good he is. They can craft everything, but you can only afford 3 more players. We agree on that?
Yeah.
Same concept here, right? It sounds far-fetched. You could always have 5 and a coach, but here you can't. You either get a sales leader or you get someone who's going to make the calls, right? So as a founder, your very first hire should be the scrappiest, hungriest, most driven, most creative. I would go so far as a hustler. And you find that person who is not afraid to kick down doors, to upset people, to do different shit. You give them as much rope as possible and you prepare that they make mistakes, but that's what you need. You need a hustler.
But man, there's so much advice out there that you should hire 2, not just
Yeah, I
one.
love that.
So
Hire
you're saying-
2.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
And then how do you clone them? How do you train them? What do? You find 2 hustlers, you're saying, right away?
Yeah, if you can afford it, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because look, that's a simple math game, right? Tech founders should get this. It's a simple math game. You get one, I'm going to butcher this, but you get one person, you have a 50 chance of success. I believe if you get 2, you have a 66% chance of success, right? Is that right? Think of 4-quadrant matrix, right? Either they both fail, right? But then the rest is one succeeds or the other succeeds or they both succeed. So it's 75%. Hey, look at that. Right?
Yeah.
You have a 75% chance of success if you hire 2 at one time. You double your success rate. So if you can afford it, absolutely hire 2. And then you're going to love this. How do you train them? You train them in the business, the KPIs, and the environment of who they're selling to first. Then you train them on your product.
So teach them the ICP. Tell them
Yes.
everything about that you're going to sell. So that brings up another question. When you talk about ICP, is it ICP the champion who's actually going to promote my product in the business that I'm selling to? Or is it the person who's going to sign off the fucking document?
It's neither. It's the business as a whole within the functional group or I don't even know the word. I don't think there's a word for this. Within the functional group or the business area where my product makes a difference.
Basically, you're saying they got to know enough to be able to identify the gap, right? If they don't actually understand that business they're selling to, they don't understand what they're trying to achieve and where they're trying to go to. You can't find the gap. Until they can do that part, then they can't effectively become the sales force you need.
1,000%. So to your point, it's not the ICP who uses it or buys it. I don't give a shit about that. What I care about, if you're selling into supply chain, and let's say within the supply chain, you're selling into inventory management. Let's say that. Okay, then you better know and you better teach that person everything they need to know about inventory management. Okay. How does inventory move around a warehouse? How is inventory measured from an accounting perspective? LIFO, FIFO, and all that other shit, right? What is the average inventory turns that people want? How do inventory turns change within an organization? How does spoilage or breakage affect inventory? What do inventory costs? How do you calculate and measure the profitability against inventory? Like I've run out of my shit, but I can get somewhere. All of that they need to know about inventory, because my assumption, if you're selling a product or service that affects inventory, that's the shit that you're going to address, I'm assuming. And if that's the shit you're going to address, you better understand how that shit works, right? And the downstream effects, how that affects this. And then you should help them understand if inventory is affected, then how does that affect suppliers, right? And how do supplier contracts work? And then how does SLAs work? And see where I'm going with this? And keep playing that shit out. You teach them all that. Then you teach them how your product or service works. Now they can go out in the field and start having real conversations.
Can you reckon salespeople are dumb and it's super easy to do methodology when you keep talking about how much actual work they've got to do to be good at the job? It's not as simple as just walking in a room and going, here's my product, you should buy it.
No, but here's the crazy part. Businesses can make it easy, right? If I have advocated for years, and I should drink my own Kool-Aid in this, I probably need to make a product in this, but I've been advocating for years that businesses need to build a internal training department, or not department, internal training module that trains salespeople on the business that they sell in before they teach them the product. How much more sense the product would make if you actually train me in the business first?
Yeah. 100%.
It's not hard.
We did that. We started going away from the product. We didn't teach them product at all for the first 4 weeks. It wasn't about that. Going back to your point, it was all about learning the business that you're selling to, learning every persona that sits within the business, work out the challenges, and then go sell your solution to them. Don't talk about the product. Because I hated the fact that most of them go looking for HDMI cable and make sure the webcam's on just to bring their product up. That's not how you sell a product. It's not doing anything for the buyer. So we touched on the fact that you're hired to. So I've got 2 hustlers in the business. I'm an early stage founder. I've got all of that. They're kicking goals. The quota attainment's great. I've now got to hand it off. I've got to hire my frontline sales manager. I've been following some of your LinkedIn posts and your views on front sales managers and what they should be doing. I've hired a bunch of them. And a whole heap of them struggle with making the transition from a good rep to a manager. How do I, as a kick-ass individual contributor, go from being that to a manager?
Okay. You got to learn to execute. So first you got to learn to execute. What does it take to execute? Okay. I don't know if this is entirely in order. You got to understand the sales management or sales leadership role. Let's go frontline. Frontline is very different than the rest. Frontline is very different than second line, third line, and fourth line. I think in sales, probably going to upset a lot of people. Generally speaking, second line, third line, and fourth line in most organizations, they're super important, but they're shitty roles. They're shitty roles. It's just basically, just mostly reporting. You're a reporting jockey. I hate to say it. People don't like to hear it, but it gets to be a reporting jockey, right? So to be a frontline manager, you got to ask yourself and understand what is your philosophy or methodology for managing individual contributors directly. What are your KPIs and objectives for managing those people directly? So what is it you're trying to get out of them besides just quota? Okay. Am I a leader? Do I want to manage people? Not do I want to sell for people, because that's what a lot of these clowns do. They're great salespeople. They become managers. They just try to sell for the salespeople. Do you want to actually lead people, build people, assess people, right? Do you want to be good at process and manage the processes, rebuild new processes, identify broken processes? Like you're an executor now, and you got to win through people. So as an individual, if you're listening, ask yourself, do you want to do that? Number one. And if you do, good. Then number two, while you're in the individual contributor role and you're watching other sales managers, start building your own approach, stop building your own processes, and ask yourself, what would you bring to this environment if you were in that role? So if you ever have the chance, you should document that shit. You should say, this is how I would approach deal reviews. This is how I would do my sales team assessment. This is how I would change our current hiring process. This is how I would change our current sales process. You see what I'm saying? Bring the job to the table.
I love that. So when you think about it from the other side, in people in management positions, and you're looking to promote, that's the sort of stuff you should be looking for. An individual contributor can come to you and go, and like, I've been watching this in previous companies, in this company, these are the things I'd be doing in deal reviews. This is how I'd be dealing with quota growth. This is how I'd be dealing with tricky situations with commissions. And this is my viewpoint and philosophy on that, more than I've been here for 5 years and I'm a really good salesperson, I'd be promoted. Which I always struggled with that. I'm a gun individual contributor. I've been here a long time. I would like to be promoted. I'm like, but a promotion doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be better for you, for who you are, for what you achieve, how you achieve things. It's built into humans that you feel like you need to keep making steps. But some people are just amazing salespeople who have built a whole career around just kicking doors down, kicking goals, making huge amounts of money and being super successful. And it shouldn't be looked at as something where you need to get a promotion. You can be a career salesperson and be at the top of your game, at the top of your profession, because it is a profession in itself.
Well, some it is. Sometimes people realize that. There's a lot of professional salespeople out there making $500,000 a year, and they'll tell you they don't want to do anything else, right? How they took them a while to figure that out. But I think that's probably a better second answer. Is I don't think enough people understand who they are. And if people start evaluating as individuals who they are and what they're good at and what they like, let me say that again. Who they are, what they're good at, and what they like. If they spent more time focused on that, they would know if a sales manager position is for them. So it would never come down to, I've been at this 5 years and I've done this, I want it or I deserve it. It's no, this is what I'd like to do because I'm really good at this. I'd be a much better manager than I would be a salesperson. Here's why. I'm really good at these things, et cetera, et cetera. And it's where I bring value. And if you know that, then you'll know if you should be up for the sales manager role and you'll be able to make a great case, or you'll start looking at different roles, what you're good at, what you like to do. You see what I'm saying? That you could apply somewhere else. To give you an example of this, all my kids ski and 2 of them mogul ski in the the regional program that governs where they compete. They lost the secretary and they lost him to me and said, you should put your hat in the ring to be the president. And I was like, nope, I will turn this apple cart over. This is not what this organization needs right now. I am not an operator. I'm a changer. I fix shit. I fix broken stuff. I expand stuff. I create stuff. That's what I'm good at. This program is not ready for that right now. And so I was like, nope, do not put my hat in the ring because it's not ready and I don't think I'll do a good job. When the organization says they want to change or we're in trouble, call me. But until then, nope. But I know that. Most people, you could have argued, I got 2 kids in the program. I'm passionate about mogul skiing. I got amazing marketing skills, sales skills. I can help raise money. You could have made a case for me, like a lot of people did. But the truth of the matter was who I am, what I do well, and what I like to do didn't all jive right there.
Self-awareness, man. You spoke earlier about as you go up to second or third level, you end up being a dashboard jockey. I agree with that, having been there. But when is the right time to bring the jockey in? Because no matter how much of a good manager you are, probably maximum 10 reportees is what you can handle. So as a founder, what advice do you give to that individual to go, man, this is now time for you to go bring a director or a VP and when is the right time to bring CRO in? Again, I'm asking a bunch of questions. The question being here is when you bring the next layer of leadership into an organization.
I'm very agile. I don't pay attention to, okay, here you do this and here you do this. My mind doesn't work that way. I'm an exception-oriented person. Like I look at exceptions, not norms, right? So that's why I didn't do well in corporate America. But if you're going to put me in a corner, I'm thinking you're going to want to think about quote unquote VP of sales, or whatever, when you get to 6 or 7 sales reps. So that individual frontline manager is now overwhelmed with trying to manage the day-to-day sales of all his people or her people. And now you need someone who can oversee them and begin to add another one of him or her, right? So if you've got 6, 7, or 8 individual contributors and your business plan calls for growth, I don't get it. You're going to hire 8, 9, and 10 the next year. Great. Hire 8 and 9, get a sales manager, and have 2 sales managers, split them up to 5 or 6 each. You see what I'm saying? And now you put your VP on top of them. Now the VP's job in this case is going to be someone like me who's going to win and build shit. So now this person's job is to, and I don't know, it could be 5, 6, 7, 8 million. I don't know what that number is. It depends on what you sell and what the quota is, blah, blah, blah. But once you have that number, now it's that VP's job to build the systems and to build the processes and to standardize and to build the KPIs and create some consistency and predictability to it. Now it's just not a handful of guys going out and girls trying to go out and fucking hustle. Now we have consistency. We need repeatability. And that person should come in to be able to build that shit. You need to build it, not an operator. You need a builder. So someone's going to build all that stuff, implement it, create it in some cases, and then hold the team accountable to it. And that's everything. Hiring processes, onboarding processes, sales process, deal review process, sales team assessment process. Like I could go on.
Exactly. QBRs and whatnot. You could go on and on. But there's a lot of theories out there that you got to bring people in at the right level. If you're a VP of sales who's built a business at 20 million, but you're no longer going to be good enough to take that business from 20 to 50.
I've always outperformed my level. So I'm biased. Look, okay, watch this. I'm going to pull an old man wisdom thing. Okay. I'm going to highlight the stupidity in that thinking. Did every single person who ran a company or grew a company from 20 million to 50 million, is that where they started in their life? Or at one time had they never done it? There's your fucking answer. Okay. There's your fucking answer. Take those types of fucking belief systems and flush them. Yes. Okay. Maybe if you've got one guy who's done it before and has a proven track record, and then you've got another person, a woman, who has shown amazing talent and grown it to here, and you believe she can do it, then give them both a good solid look, right? And then you decide if everything is equal and you want to play it safe, go with the dude. If everything is equal, but you want to give someone a chance, go with the chick. I don't care. At that point in time, I don't care. But the point being is stop looking at the person and stop using stupid rubrics. I don't even know the word for that type of stuff. It's dumb. It's just dumb. Do you know how many times? Yeah. What's her name? Carly. What was her name? I'm really showing my age. Carly Fiona, whatever her name is. She ran HP, right? It was right. And she came over from Compact, right? Did she come over from Compact? I can't remember. She came from Compact. She ran a bunch of shit. She fucked that one up. Okay, fine. You as many cases as someone who's done something before and they crushed it as I can to someone who's done something before and fucked it up. So I just think it's dumb. It's one. Okay, let me be nice. It's just one data point. That's my final answer. It's one data point.
But I think that's a good way of looking at it because it is something that as we especially when you're growing your software company and you're at that small level, that there is that push to go get someone who's done it before, and they will automatically give you X, Y, and Z. But it's not automatic. It's a data point, and it's a good data point. If someone has done it multiple times, that's a good data point. But it is a data point for these guys and girls as they're building their companies up. I think it does change the bigger you get. There's definitely other reasons when you get really large to go, well, cool. Someone who's proven you're going to get an automatic scale and growth. And if you've run something for a long time, at some point, there's going to come a cutoff point where some of that stuff makes sense.
What happened to Microsoft if they took, it never built a company that size before?
It's a data point.
What do you think would have happened to Oracle if they took Ellison out because they never built a company that size before? What do you think would have happened to Facebook if they took him out because they never built? Stop and think about what you're saying. Every example where someone's done it, imagine where any one of those companies would be if you had pulled those motherfuckers out and put someone else in who's done it before. It's one data point. It's my answer.
Yeah. I like it. That's a good way of looking at it.
Let's switch up the subject a little bit. So everything, no matter which platform you go on right now, the biggest thing that's popping up is AI. There's a lot of people saying AI is going to change the game of sales. I see it in some ways, maybe like some of the outbound stuff with the email, that's going to improve. Whole thing playing out.
It's going to change sales, okay? It's a fact. It already has, okay? For the good, for the bad, a little bit of both. It's only going to increase. And I'm sure, maybe not in my lifetime, maybe my kids, but then again, if you follow Moore's law, shit's going to get going crazy fast, right? Once AI becomes pretty close to Sentinel, yeah, they'll replace salespeople. They'll replace almost everything we're doing, right? If they can think for themselves, they'll probably think faster on the feet than I can. And they can literally build it to do an actual diagnosis of gap selling, figure out what the current state is, ask the right questions, right? Watch this. No one ever thought about, I'm way down in the future. I'm doing Blade Runner shit. But know what no one else is asking? If you don't think someone's working on an AI buying process, you're smoking crack. Think about it. Someone's going to create an AI buying process where if you want to buy something for the company, you feel the company needs something, somebody's going to make you put that shit into an AI, and the AI is going to calculate whether or not we can continue to do what we're doing now, or we need to change and what we need to change to, and tell you what your recommendations are, because it's going to go out into the market, right? It's going to go, all right, I'm making this up. Right now, let's say I want to buy an outreach or sales lift. Okay, right now, our sales team outbound sucks, and we're only able to send out 10 emails a day, and we're only making 15 calls, and we're 8%, with 50% behind revenue. And you pop that shit into an AI, and the AI's going to go, yeah, this isn't acceptable. However, there are 3 things out here that does this. And if you do this and you succeed here, it should create this kind of return. So you should negotiate this price. If you don't think that's coming, you're smoking crack. So if that's coming, then on the other side, if a machine can do that on this side, the machine on the other side can answer the question. So some way down the road, in my kid's lifetime, my grandkid's lifetime, buying and selling are both going to be done by AI. End of discussion. Say what? Yeah, I do. As I was telling you, I just started working on this project because I never even thought about that.
You need to create a gap bar.
So the answer is long term, it's going to take all our jobs. Right now, it's a complex efficiency play. That's all it is. And I don't think it does a good job selling. If I see another stupid AI written email, I'm going to throw up. Okay. So I'm not worried about AI right now. What I do like for is research.
I can forward you some I got today.
I do like it for that. And I would really like to see, and we are beginning to work on this, I would also like to see AI on the other side of the sale, not on the the front end, but in the middle part of the sales cycle, evaluating deals and telling sales teams why that deal's in trouble or why that deal doesn't have what it needs to be successful. That's where I think the real value can come in. And we're doing some of that right now with Node Analytics, and we're heading down that road right now.
I think there's also a cool play in there. So we talked at the start about educating salespeople in industries that you're going to sell to. And I think there's a play there where we can actually have, instead of it being done by you're jumping on and doing, you can have AI help piece out the pieces of, because industries are complex, piece out the pieces that these people actually need to know at each step of their journey as they're going along. Because you overload people very quickly if you try to teach them the entirety of an industry or exactly how this person works in this arena. We now have to pass that out into, hey, this is the bits you need to know at this stage of your sales journey, then this part, then this part. I think there's a lot of work to be done in that would actually help accelerate someone's ability to understand whatever the industry is. And it could be the 100%. Same tool, because it's 100%. Just going to be picking apart industries as it goes along. So that's what I'm looking for. If someone finds it.
But until the day that happens, I guess coming back to the present, a lot of the sales reps are mishired. That's what founders like to believe. You worked with thousands of organizations, Keenan, thousands of sales leaders and thousands of founders and whatnot. What's the number one quality that you look for in an individual and you go, that person can work out? It may just be a data point, but do they have one thing in common that you go, he's got the making of being a great, or she's got the making of being a great salesperson? Is there such a thing?
Wow. I'm trying to describe it in my head. I used to say smart. That's not enough. I used to say they can think, and that's getting closer. I would say it can't be just one, so I have to put it in a little box. You know what I'm saying? Think about like an engagement ring. It's not just silver and it's not just a diamond, but it's the setting, but it's certain things need to come together.
Yeah.
So what I would say is a super smart person that has amazing critical thinking skills and can solve problems. You give me that, I can make a salesperson.
The unicorn.
You don't like that, huh, Ricky?
No, I'm just saying they're tough to find.
Oh, fuck yeah, they are, because most people are stupid. That's not going to make me very popular.
We keep falling back to even some of our own experiences. We built an organization that was 700 plus FTE, right? So you hired a lot and you mishired a lot. You had the right intention every single fucking time to get the best person on your team. COVID hit and made it that much harder. Everyone knows how to sell themselves. They're great when it comes to interview process. And then they suck 2 weeks after. What do you do? Like this whole concept of hire slow, fire fast, it doesn't work. Hence why I was trying to look for an answer.
I know better than anybody else. I'm 50-50. And it's because I don't think I'm going to change my hiring process. I'm going to die on this sword. Now, my approach doesn't work very well in corporate America because of all the HR rules. But when I start hiring people, I ask questions in a way that I get to who they are as a person. Like I don't flat out ask anybody a question directly because I know I can't get away with that. But I ask questions like, okay, I try to trap them. Okay, you get to decide. I'll say something like this. You get to decide, but what is the one most difficult challenge you've ever had in your life that you solved? How did you do it? Why was it a problem, etc.? And it can be business or personal, okay? Now, if they go to business, that's already, in my opinion, a negative nick, because with very few exceptions, is a business problem the hardest problem you've ever had to solve in your fucking life. It's just not. So I already have visibility into one of two things. You led a fucking hunky-dory lifestyle and you've never been faced with any adversity, and therefore you're useless to me, or you're a liar. That's the first thing I learned, right? So I'm paying attention to that. And then they'll answer the question, and if it's really a lame one, I'll say, so I want to make sure I got this right. Now, I asked you the most difficult thing in your entire life, and yours was how a boss had yelled at you because you missed quota and you felt that it was inappropriate. So you went to HR. Of all the things in your life, that was the hardest one. Yes. Okay. Then thank you. And then I'll go into the next question. So I am constantly pushing buttons. And the next question I might ask is, what's the one thing that you've built from scratch, professional or personal? What was the one, what was the one problem you saw in your life that you felt needed to be fixed? So you stepped up and didn't wait for anybody to fix it. What was it? Why was it a problem? And how did you fix it? So I ask questions like that. I want people who've done shit. I don't care if it's professional, personal. I need people who've done shit. I need people who've come from places where they've had to make something happen. And even if you come from what's the word I'm looking for? This soft, what am I trying to say here? A really good, what? Yeah, privilege. Thank you. You came from this privileged, bougie world. You still could have recognized problems in the world and used your privilege and bougie to fix it. One of my best friends, his son, started this whole nonprofit program to help kids. I forget what it was, but he was like, I see a problem here. So he had a bunch of his friends together and they built these bougie as they can be. But he saw a problem and stepped in to fix it. So if you haven't tried to fix something in your entire life, I got no time for you. Because the point of these questions that I'm sure you can see, and you too, Sean, is it shows me what type of person it is. This shows me somebody who's critically thinking, right? It shows me how this person got something done. It shows me this person takes action. It shows me this person isn't afraid to go try to make some things happen, right? Think about what you learned from that, right?
It's a good point because, like you said, Ricky, everyone can sell themselves, but they sell themselves in the exact same way every time. It's, I can do this job. I've done this job before. This is how good I was at this job. And what you're looking at is, I get it. Everyone who's applied for this job can do this job. Who are you? How do you think about things when they come across your desk? What are you passionate about? Because I still believe, if you drive passion into people, right? So if you can get everyone walking in step and passionate about where they're working and they're excited about it, most of them are going to be successful, right? And they're going to they're going to outperform. They're going to put time and effort and love into what you're doing. And so finding out what people are passionate about when you're interviewing is a key crux. If you know that this person's just prepared for this because it's a job interview and you say, I'm awesome in this job and I've done this job, but I can't answer any other question you ask me about anything because all I've actually thought about is I want the job because I want to make the money that you've advertised in, you're only going to get what you get out of that person. And then we as leaders look at it and go, I thought this guy was going to be a gun or girl, they were going to get to X. And they probably could get to X, but they're not inspired to get X.
So I'm a founder. I've taken all your advice. I've got a kick-ass team full of hustlers, the right people with the right quality. They're crushing it. One thing they all want is a lot more money, right? Everyone wants more money, no matter what. More often than not, especially people in sales, are always looking for the next step when it comes to monetary rewards.
What you say is everybody wants more money. And if they don't get as much money as they want, they try to go somewhere else to get that money. How do you build a comp plan to keep them? Okay. You can't build a comp plan that keeps people. So I learned something a long time ago. And the way you keep people is you have to give them a challenging place to work. Okay. We call it ROPE here, a rewarding place to work with lots of opportunity. So RO, lots of opportunity, reward and responsibility, opportunity. Oh, I should shoot myself a P. And then energetic and fun, right? So I learned this from a place I worked, one of my very first jobs. They had something called CORF, challenge, opportunity, reward, and fun, right? And so if you can create an environment where people get rewarded enough, so they're not in the bottom of the 50, they get rewarded enough for what they do. They make good money, and reward is their salary plus everything else. They're rewarded in totality, and they believe they can grow. There's opportunity to continue to move up, which comes with more money, but more responsibility, more challenging. It's not boring. They're engaged. Their skill sets are being maxed. They're being developed, right? Then reward and challenge. Yeah, reward. I did the reward piece, right? And then challenge. I did that. The challenge our board. There's plenty of opportunity. And then fun. It's a fun place to work. You build stuff into this that's fun. So we have this big Christmas party we do every year. We bring the entire company out. We rent this giant Airbnb in Keystone, Colorado, and we pay for everybody to go skiing, and they bring their wives and all that stuff. We used to, when I lived in Denver, we used to invite clients and everybody's families, and we take them to a baseball game. We have a section, our thing called Fun, where people talk. Everybody's birthday, we all get together and figure out the coolest birthday present to get somebody that's interested in what they like and what's fun and what's interesting to them. So it's a personal thing. It's not just a stupid card. I think we spend almost 4 figures, we're small company, 4 or 5 figures a year on just birthday shit. We're a public company. I'm sure at the time they make us cut it because we come to the millions. But no, that's an investment. So we try to make it a fun place to work. We try to this is why people get in their own goddamn way. Oh, I see you've got a $2 million birthday budget. Cut that shit. How much do you think that saves retention? Right? Like we're a $1 billion company. How much do you think that saves us in retention? How much do you think that saves us to hire? Fucking think long-term, people. So yeah, so we do all kinds of stuff to make it fun, challenging, rewarding, and people want to stay here. It's hard though. It's hard. Some people just get greedy. And that's the other thing. Here's the last piece I'll give you. Build a culture. Here's something I didn't say enough. Within all of that, build a culture of who you are and who your company is.
Yeah.
And only hire people who fit that. There are people, it doesn't matter how much fun they have. It doesn't matter if they have opportunity. They just want the cash. Don't hire them. They're not a fit. So yeah, build a culture and only hire people that fit in the culture. We're learning that the hard way. We will never hire anybody again who is not over the top coachable.
That's good advice.
And is not afraid to take direct, harsh criticism, because that's how I operate. And that's how my entire frontline operates. So we hired a couple people couldn't handle that and they crumble. So now part of a hiring process is to put them through me and I go at them, not disrespectfully, but see how they can handle it. Because I was raised as an athlete. I don't know, you guys look like you're athletes. In America, and athletes, particularly football, they don't give up. That's the wrong thing. Go sit on the bench, get your shit together, but then they're coaching you. Here's the video. This is what you did, numbnuts. Why didn't you pay attention? It's in here. Try this. Like, they will coach you, but they are not nice. They will. That's how I was raised. That's my leadership style. I love you to death, but I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm here to make you better, which means we're going to focus more on what you do shitty as opposed to what you do well. So that's not everybody can live. Yeah, Ricky.
I love that, man. Personally, for me, I work for people. I could not care less about anything else. I think you mentioned the word culture. Culture for me is actually part of a bigger thing. Yep. It's a system.
I'm just pumped that you included me in you guys look like athletes thing, so I'm happy. Oh, good.
I'm sorry for your Australian folks. Bill Belichick is head coach of the New England Patriots. Yeah. He is known for his no nonsense. He is known for his directness. He is known for his development of players and getting rid of players that don't fit the system or don't fit his culture.
Yes.
He knows exactly what he's doing, and he's built one of the best programs in American football in the last 25 years. So I admire that, man. I love people. I do this with my daughters. You heard me talk to my daughter when we got on. My daughter knows I love her to death. We are so tight. She calls me 10 times a day, all three of my daughters. But I also don't fuck around. There is no, if they fuck up, they know it. If they meet him, they don't meet him. If they did something great, they get praise. If they did some amazing, they get over the top praise. Everything is directly appropriate or connected to their actions. There's no underappreciating them when they did something really well. Like some dads, like kid could get into Harvard, oh, good job, and walk away. No, you're going to get all the praise in the world. And then there are other parents that the kid could please, oh, that's okay. No, fuck you. What the hell did you just do? There is no confusion about my reaction to their actions. And I've been teaching them since they were little girls, and I do the same thing in the business world. I am a straight shooter. And I do that because I believe honesty and realism is the only true gift. I am doing you no favors by letting you off the hook. I am doing you no favors whatsoever. Unfortunately, too much of our society does not handle that well. And so people buckle, right? So if you can't hear it from someone else, then you better listen to yourself and get real, because you aren't going to make it if you can't take true criticism.
For every single company's culture, when you go look at it, I guarantee in there somewhere is honesty or truth. It's in there. Everyone has it. They throw it around. We are honest. We're truthful. And it's something I try to drive and live by. And it got difficult. It is something that everyone aspires to. But then we do have that other reaction where you're really careful about being blunt with people, being honest. So the amount of companies we've sat with over the last 4 months and I've met with and talked to them, they're like, oh, I'm blunt. I'm pretty blunt about stuff. I'm just going to tell you what I think about your business, where I think the problem is. And they're like, oh, we're blunt too. This whole company's built on bluntness. And then you're blunt and they're like, that's a bit harsh, isn't it? That hurt my feelings. Like, we just had a whole discussion.
Yes.
We're both blunt and you just want me to tell you what I think. These are where I think the problems are. And then you're like, that's unfair. We're just starting. Like everyone gets very defensive very quickly.
So if I attack your behaviors and you get offended, I stop and say, wait, I would say you were a bad project manager. I didn't say you were a bad CEO. I just said what you just did here was a shit show.
Yeah.
Those are behaviors. Why you're attaching your behaviors to your identity is your problem. That's your choice. I'm not going to take ownership for that. So if you just because I said you did a great job, I mean, I get it's hard not to, but that doesn't mean you're great. If you get enough of those, then maybe you can think you're great or whatever, or you did great there, but do not confuse person with behavior. Focus on the behavior. And if anybody attacks a person in my company, I tear them. You don't last in my company if you attack the person. You do not last. But attack the behavior all day long.
Love it.
Mountain. Your favorite mountain, your favorite run.
You only need to see one more time in your life. Where are you going?
Yeah.
That's a great question. It's not lightning. Okay, it's not the best mountain where I want to ski the last time, but everything all included, Aspen's pretty dope. Yeah, I'd like to go to Jackson Hole. I've never been there, so I'd like to do that. I'd like to do Big Sky. I've been to Japan, back there. So I'll ski all over the place.
Awesome. Favorite music genre. This should be easy.
This is good timing. I would have told you rap/hip hop. Don't like much of the new rap. It's really bad.
You're hurting his feelings. This is great.
Just stop and listen to Migos, God, Savage, Playboy Cardi.
I don't know how much time have you got.
The diameter in the beat and the rhyme is remedial. It is remedial. And then the beats and the riffs behind it, compare that back to my boys. Oh my God, I'm spacing. Go back to anybody. Go back to Biggie. Go back to my boy got shot. I can't. Tupac. And who are the boys who go really fast? And I'm staring at them right now. Oh, anyways, go back to any of that early 2000s and
Legends,
late 90s and listen to the beat of the Dre, Snoop, and listen to the beat of the rhyme, Eminem, how they place it, the riffs behind it, and then listen to what they got now. It's horrible.
We're getting into really deep conversation. So on to the next one then. Favorite movie of all time, Keenan?
I like a good plot that keeps me thinking. So I'm going to have to say it's tied between Star Wars whole genre or Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings, the very first one was fucking fire. One of my first favorite movies of all time was, because again, guys, I'm old. It was, I just had Dangerous Liaisons. Oh, that was such a good movie. Oh, the intricacy and how he played all those people. I love Citizen Kane. That was amazing. 12 Angry Men. If you ever watched that, 12 Angry Men is a phenomenal one. Oh, that's ahead of its time. You ever 12 Angry Men with Peter Fonda? Oh, it's happened in the 50s, and it's a Hispanic kid who's on trial for murder. And all of these, I think it's in the South, and all of these white men are just going to convict him. Peter Fonda is the one guy in the room is like, wait, guys, he did it. He's a fucking Mexican. He did it. He's this. And little by little through the whole movie, he turns all of them because the kid didn't do it. It's phenomenal. Yeah.
Awesome. Favorite place to visit? Doesn't have to be skiing this time.
I try to go a different place every year.
No, I heard you say New Zealand before we hit the record button, so I'm counting for New Zealand.
The most important one. This is pretty much what the whole podcast is about. We'll just get to it at the end.
Smooth. GIF smooth.
All day, man. All day.
Smooth.
Runner.
Yeah.
Smooth.
We'll edit this one. That was good.
Nice.
This is the first and only smooth. I think
Or edit this one.
Yeah, just move my voice over the top that says crunchy and then goes back.